Tonight, scam warning. Fraudsters impersonate staff from City Hall. Most resilient cities. Fort St. John and Dawson Creek both cracked the top 50. And flights to and from the North Peace Regional Airport are back to normal. Well, good evening and thank you very much for joining us. We begin tonight with the City of Dawson Creek warning residents to be on the lookout for scammers pretending to be city staff. Officials say they have received a number of reports about scammers requesting payment on behalf of the city. Residents are being asked to pay their bills with gift cards. The fraudsters then use technology to make it look like they're calling from an official City Hall phone number. They say during tax season this activity may increase, so be aware. City staff will never ask for payments using gift cards. If you are unsure about who is on the other end of the phone, hang up and dial 311. Elections Canada pointing out some misinformation on voter cards that was mailed to residents in Fort St. John. The cards say voting hours on election day are from 7:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. However, election officials now say that was an unfortunate misprint. Elections Canada apologizing for the confusion. The actual hours on election day are from 7 in the morning until 7 at night. A spokesperson says, if there's any doubt, go online to elections.ca and enter your address. All of the information you need to vote is there and is updated and accurate. Now, as for advanced voting, that begins tomorrow on Good Friday and ends on Easter Monday. Canadians go to the polls on April the 28th. Well, Fort St. John and Dawson Creek both making the list of BC's top 50 most economically resilient cities. BC Business releasing its 11th annual rankings. Fort St. John is listed as the 41st most resilient city in the province, while Dawson Creek falling one spot from last year to 48th. The rankings look at indicators such as population growth, financial vulnerability for households, employment opportunities as well. As for the top spot in BC, that's Sydney on Vancouver Island, taking this year's top honors. After 3 days of delays at Vancouver's International Airport, normal operations resuming today. A shortage of staff at YVR, including air traffic controllers, causing widespread delays and cancellations. This week, that caused 4 flights to and from Fort St. John to be delayed, one of which had to be canceled. Both incoming and outgoing flights are running as usual at YVR, but passengers are still being encouraged to check the status of their flights with their airlines before they head to the airport. Changes are coming to the way new drivers can qualify for full license in BC. The province has included legislation that will remove the requirement for a second road test to obtain a Class 5 license. Instead, a new 12-month restriction period would be created. During that time, drivers must demonstrate safe driving behavior to progress. BC's Minister for Public Safety says the changes are intended to improve road safety by ensuring new drivers get more time on the road. BC's Premier says talk of Western separation needs to stop. David Eby said the rhetoric around Western provinces separating from the rest of Canada is a tired trope that wastes time. The Premier adds he doesn't think there's any credible threat to Canadian unity, and he's accusing people like former Reform Party leader Preston Manning of, quote, seeking clicks and playing to a political base. Manning said in an op-ed in the Globe and Mail newspaper earlier this month that a vote for the Liberal government in the federal election equals a vote for Western secession. David Eby says talk like that is an attack on Canadian unity during what could be a devastating trade war with the U.S. Eby says it's an attempt for political and partisan gain. The U.S. border officials say they've seized 154 kilograms of cocaine destined for Canada. It happened near the Ambassador Bridge that connects Windsor with Detroit on Tuesday. Customs and Border Protection agents recovered bricks of white powdery substance later confirmed to be cocaine. The bricks were hidden inside 2 duffel bags and 4 moving boxes inside the suspect vehicle. A person from India is now facing federal charges. Ontario Premier Doug Ford is urging his colleagues to take steps to loosen interprovincial trade barriers.
Trade barriers hurt our economy, drive away jobs and investment, and divide us from each other.
This comes as Ontario signs a memorandum of understanding with New Brunswick and Nova Scotia. The agreement includes a registered worker designation that recognized in one province and therefore is acceptable in the other. Ontario's government tabled legislation aimed at loosening trade barriers. It's the first province in Canada to remove all current exceptions to interprovincial free trade without conditions. So far, Ontario, PEI, New Brunswick, and Nova Scotia are the only provinces to make moves to tear down the barriers. Well, noticeably absent from tonight's English leaders' debate was the Green Party. They were disinvited yesterday for not running enough candidates across the country, but today, the Greens became the first party to unveil a fully costed platform. CTV's Jeremy Charron has more on that.
A pitch from Canada's Green Party leader today for anyone he says is fed up with the status quo.
We must do better. Our plan isn't just a list of promises, it is a vision.
That vision, Jonathan Pedneau says, is rooted in social justice, collective sovereignty, and respect for the planet.
A vision where housing is a right, not a luxury. A vision where every person earns enough to live with dignity.
In releasing its fully costed platform, the Green Party promises to build more than 1 million affordable homes, reduce taxes for Canadians making less than $100,000, and increase the corporate tax for businesses making large profits. When it comes to energy, Pedneau says his party would make Canada a leader in clean energy and end the fossil fuel era.
We can invest instead in wind, in solar, in geothermal energy. We can and we will build a national grid powered entirely by renewables.
The party's platform also pitches green ways to reduce Canada's dependence on the U.S. It all comes just a day after Pedneau was disinvited from the debates, which he calls a big mistake, and says his party is weighing next steps.
We'll continue to explore every option, but we need some time to do that. In the meantime, I think the Commission should resign.
The Green Party is the first to release its fully costed platform. The other parties have promised theirs are coming too, but have faced some criticism for not doing so yet. Jeremy Sherrill, CTV News, Ottawa.
And last night in Montreal, the four main party leaders faced off in the French-only debate. Liberal leader Marc Carney, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre, Yves-François Blanchet from the Bloc Québécois, and the NDP's Jagmeet Singh, all defending their vision of Canada for 2 hours. Here are some of the highlights that have been translated to English.
Our plan is almost $800 per family, cut the GST on first homes, and increase competition.
I will cut your taxes for the average worker by 15%. We will scrap the GST on new homes.
We would put price caps on essential groceries. We would also stop corporate landlords from buying up affordable housing and apartments.
These are Harry Potter financial frameworks. You need a lot of magic to make it work. There needs to be more money, but we're going to do cuts. They want to be more conservative than the Conservatives.
Well, there were no knockout punches during last night's debate. Pierre Poilievre was compared to Donald Trump, and Marc Carney facing questions about being one of Justin Trudeau's economic advisors. The messaging app Signal is popular for its privacy settings, but following a high-profile mishap by the U.S. government, the platform is now at the center of a Canadian controversy. Adrian Gabriel has those details.
More than 300,000 mobile devices issued to federal government employees are currently in circulation.
What we should be doing is tightening the threat surface on these government-issued devices.
The person responsible for determining what apps are allowed on the smartphones of federal workers is Chief Information Officer of Canada, Dominic Rochon. Though it's on Rochon's own work phone that a Freedom of Information request, known as an FOI, revealed that Rochon had the text applications Signal and WhatsApp set to have messages disappear just 7 days after being sent or received.
There's a lot of not just transparency issues at play here, but also security issues.
Matt Malone, an associate professor with the Faculty of Law at the University of Ottawa, filed the FOI. Recently, a large group of high-ranking U.S. government officials came under fire after a journalist was mistakenly looped into a Signal message chat about a pending military assault on Houthi militants in Yemen. In Canada, Malone has been working to draw attention to the questionable transparency from our public institutions.
The timeline for responding to an access to information request is 30 days, and here we see the deletion of text messages within 7 days on at least 2 apps. Messages are being deleted systematically.
The country's chief information officer is part of the Treasury Board of Canada Secretariat, an agency responsible for overseeing the finances and operations of the federal government, including Canada's Access to Information System. In an email to CTV News, a TBS spokesperson wrote in part that public servants must retain all records, regardless of medium or format, including emails, meeting records, handwritten notes, or instant messages.
If it's on a government-issued device, it's government-related.
It's unclear if any messages were sent or received from the apps on Mr. Rochon's phone. We've taken steps to reach out to him. As of this evening, we've yet to receive a response. Adrian Gobriel, CTV News, Toronto.
2 people are dead after a gunman opened fire on the campus of Florida State University in Tallahassee.
Aching, just adrenaline kicked in, and I really didn't know what to do.
Police say the suspect was shot by officers and is among 6 people now in hospital. He's a 20-year-old student at the university and also the son of a sheriff's deputy. According to investigators, he had access to his mother's weapons. Gunshots were reported shortly after noon near the Student Union building. The campus issued an active shooter alert and urged students and staff to shelter in place. U.S. diplomats, including the Secretary of State, are in Paris today for talks with European officials about ending the war in Ukraine. It comes after 2 overnight attacks. Video shows a drone hitting a Russian military base about 700 kilometers from the Ukrainian border, while a Russian drone attack on the Ukrainian city of Dnipro killed 3 people, including a child. Dozens were injured as buildings and cars were also set on fire. Have you ever had a question you were dying to ask a police officer? Well, here's a great opportunity to do just that. The Fort St. John RCMP inviting the public to come have coffee with a cop next Wednesday morning. Coffee with a Cop is an international initiative that aims to improve trust and build relationships in the community. The event breaks down barriers between police and community members by providing an opportunity for informal one-on-one interactions. A number of officers will be there, including new Detachment Commander Jamie Moffett. It takes place from 9 a.m. till 11 at Farmhouse on Main in Fort St. John. All right, please do stay tuned. I'll be right back with weather and what promises to be a very nice Easter long weekend. Stay tuned.